Cheating in school. Frank is a student at a community college. He turned in a paper that his friend wrote for the same course last year. Leah takes classes at a trade school. In a paper she wrote, she included a couple of sentences from a book. She didn't say where she found the information or who wrote it. Did Frank and Leah cheat? The answer is yes. This kind of cheating is called plagiarism. To plagiarize is to present someone else's ideas as your own. This includes anything someone says, writes, or creates, such as a picture or a chart. It doesn't include facts that are common knowledge. These are things that most people already know, like China is a very big country. Sometimes students plagiarize on purpose. They may not have the time or confidence to do their own work, or they may not want to make an effort. Frank plagiarized because he hates writing papers and thought he could get away with it. But students don't always know they are plagiarizing. "I thought it was okay to use a couple of sentences from another source," said Leah. "The rest of the paper was my own work." But it's still cheating. It's just like copying from another student on a test. Students who plagiarize are often caught. There are even online programs that teachers can use to help them detect plagiarism, and teachers are using them. For these students, the consequences are serious. Sometimes they get a failing grade on the assignment. That's what happened to Leah. In other cases, the student may fail the course, or worse. Frank was suspended for a whole semester. You can avoid plagiarizing if you follow these rules. First of all, don't use another writer's exact words. Learn how to paraphrase. And if you need to use another writer's exact words, put quotation marks around them. In addition, cite your sources. State the name of the writer and the year the book or article you used was published. Finally, give a complete list of sources at the end of your assignment. Most importantly, remember that when you copy other people's work, you're not getting the most out of your education. You're really cheating yourself. Immigrant Stories. Every year, millions of people from all around the world immigrate to the United States. Who are these immigrants? Why do they come to the United States? Here are 3 immigrant stories. Mateo Santos.
I emigrated from the Philippines for work. I am a nurse and there is a shortage of nurses in the United States. Also, salaries for nurses are much higher here, and I wanted to make a better living. But before I could get a U.S. work visa, I had to pass a licensing exam. It wasn't easy, but luckily I passed. A couple of weeks later, I got on a plane to New York City. I quickly found a job at a hospital in Manhattan. I've been there ever since. I miss my family in the Philippines. Every month I send them money to help support them, but I am happy here.
Anaya Malik.
I'm from Pakistan. About 10 years ago, my son and his wife immigrated to the U.S. They settled in Virginia. Then, 2 years ago, they asked me to join them in Virginia. At first, I was reluctant to move because the U.S. is so different from Pakistan. But my son convinced me that it was the right choice. I had some health problems, and he and his wife could take care of me in Virginia. I could also help take care of their children. So we applied for a family visa. When I received it, I flew to the United States. At first, everything was very strange and confusing. The supermarkets here are very big, and they sell so many different kinds of food. Now, I'm slowly getting used to life here, but I still don't like the cold weather in the winter.
Jean-Michel Pierre.
In 2010, a terrible earthquake killed thousands of people and destroyed many homes in Haiti, where I was born. It was hard to find food, water, and medicine. The U.S. government granted Haitians permission to live in the United States until it was safe for them to go back home. That's when I moved to Miami, Florida. There's a big Haitian community here, and many people speak my language, Haitian Creole. The truth is, I still miss Haiti. The situation there is improving, and I'll probably return soon.
Do our genes determine who we are? Ray just graduated from college. It's time for him to get a job. But he's scared to go on job interviews. Why? When Ray is in situations with people he barely knows, he gets nervous, and he often forgets what he wants to say. Ray is shy and has always been that way. My mother is shy, he says. It's in the genes. But how true is this? Does Ray have a shyness gene? We know that there are genes for physical traits like eye color, for example. But are there genes for personality traits too? There is evidence that certain personality traits are genetic. Scientists have found that many shy adults were sensitive babies. They cried more, and they were easily scared by loud noises. The babies were probably born that way. They weren't sensitive because of life experiences. They were too young to have any. Scientists believe we may be born with other personality traits as well. However, the environment also affects our personalities. Children in daycare are often less shy than children who stay home with a parent or babysitter. One reason may be that in daycare, children can practice their social skills. Over time, many shy children learn how to feel more comfortable with others. There is also evidence that adults can learn to be less shy by putting themselves in social situations. What does all this mean for Ray? It means that he can do something to overcome his shyness. With some practice, he can learn to feel more comfortable around strangers. To help him deal with job interviews, he can role-play job interviews with his family or friends. He can also go on lots of job interviews, even for jobs he may not want. This will give him lots of practice and help him build confidence. Our personality traits are much more complex than our physical traits. While our genes may influence who we are, so do our life experiences. Our genes are just the starting point.
College Mom by Kelly Mason. Why I chose a community college. I'm a 33-year-old mother of 2 young children. A year ago, I decided to go back to school. I enrolled at a local community college. I wanted to get an education that would help me find employment. Community colleges prepare students for careers that are in demand. The certificate programs they offer are practical. They teach students the necessary skills to get good jobs. You can get a good general education at a 4-year college, but not everything you learn will be useful in the workplace. Community colleges also understand the needs of students who have other responsibilities besides school. I need to take care of my children during the day, so I can't attend classes before 6 p.m. My community college offers classes at night, on the weekends, and online. Students can also study part-time. That means busy people like me have plenty of time to complete their studies. I'm enrolled in a medical coding certificate program. It's a popular program because the profession is growing very quickly. After I complete the program, I'll have lots of jobs to choose from. For me, enrolling in a community college was the right decision.
Careers then and now. It used to be that the typical career was like a ladder, and workers climbed it over time. Brad Ortega is a perfect example of this. 25 years ago, he started out as a patrol officer for the Los Angeles Police Department. He worked his way up from that entry-level position to sergeant. In the past, most workers had a predictable career like Brad's. They stayed in the same general field, often with the same employer for years. Most workers started at the bottom. Talented, hard-working people advanced to higher-level jobs. With each promotion came more responsibility and a higher salary. Times have changed, however. Today, the typical person's career is not like a ladder. Look at Nadia Petrov's career as an example. She used to be a travel agent. Then people began to make travel plans for themselves online. Eventually, Nadia lost her job. She decided to try something different. She took a training course in event planning. Today, she is an event planner at a large hotel. She's in charge of preparing the hotel for events, like weddings. Nadia hasn't moved up in her career. Instead, she's taken a job at the same level as her old job, but her new job is in a different field. Why have careers changed in this way? One reason is that technology is constantly changing. As a result, jobs and skills can become outdated quickly. There is less job security than in the past. Another reason is that more people work in service industries. These industries offer lots of jobs in places like clothing stores or restaurants, but they don't always offer many opportunities for advancement. All of this means that today's employees often change jobs or even careers. How can today's workers succeed when their careers are less predictable? Nadia has the answer. When she lost her job as a travel agent, she decided to take matters into her own hands and explore new career options. She took a training course in event planning because she realized it was a growing field. Like Nadia, today's workers need to be proactive. They also need to be able to adjust to new conditions. The only thing they can really count on is change, so they need to be ready for it.
How many times have you bought something on impulse, just because you felt like it? A day, week, or month later, you look at the item you bought and ask yourself, what was I thinking? If you do this, you're not alone. Buying things without thinking about whether you need them is very common. In fact, the average U.S. consumer spends up to $5,400 a year on impulse purchases. But why? According to experts, when we buy something on impulse, we aren't making a logical decision. Instead, our emotions are telling us what to do. That's why impulse buying is so powerful. Impulse buying makes us feel good. Research shows that when people shop, their brains release a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine causes us to feel pleasure. Here's what can happen. Let's say you see an online ad for a cell phone. You weren't planning on buying a new phone, but you really like this one. You start to imagine yourself using your favorite app or texting a friend. Pretty soon, your dopamine levels are rising and you feel great. So what do? You click buy. This is why impulse buying is so addictive. If something feels good, people will usually do it again and again. They just can't help it. But that's not the only reason people make impulse purchases. Impulse buying also helps us deal with fear. What are we afraid of? We are scared we will pay a higher price later unless we buy things on sale now. In other words, we are afraid of missing out on a good opportunity. This is the reason that many consumers can't resist a good deal. According to one survey, 85% of consumers make impulse purchases because they want to take advantage of sales and discounts. So people often decide to buy something for a good price, even if they don't really need it. Impulse buying can be fun, but it can also have negative consequences. Research shows that impulse buyers often waste money on products that they don't use. In many cases, they go into debt. So, if you make a lot of impulse purchases, you should consider changing this habit. Smart consumers think twice before they buy. Impulse buying.
The benefits of team sports. Marina Trebek, head basketball coach at Seaborg High School. Joining a team is a great way to get in shape. This isn't just my opinion. Research backs up this claim. Team sports offer a lot of benefits. Studies show that people enjoy playing team sports more than individual sports. Studies also show that team sports help develop your social skills. A team is a kind of community. When you are part of a team, you form strong bonds with your teammates because you're working towards the same goal. You also learn to communicate with and respect others. These skills can help you in the rest of your life. According to research, athletes also perform better in groups. They're motivated to do their best so that they don't let down their teammates. In addition, teammates encourage each other to train harder. So, if you're looking for a great way to exercise, join a team.
Choosing a sport that's right for you. Andy Winford. I think different kinds of sports are right for different kinds of people. I've tried a team sport, and it didn't work for me. My friends play on a basketball team, and they asked me to join. Although hanging out with them was fun, playing on a team demands a high level of commitment, and I couldn't handle it. When you're on a team, you have to attend practices and games at specific times. If you can't make it to a game, you cause problems for everyone else on the team. For me, individual sports are a better choice. Running or cycling are great ways to get in shape, and it's easy to fit them into my busy schedule. I can exercise whenever I want at my own pace. If I want to take it easy and go slow, I can. And if I feel like testing myself to see if I can run faster or work out harder, I can do that too. Let your personality determine the kind of sport you do. Is connecting with other people important to you? Then you should probably join a team. However, if you're a busy person like me, an individual sport could be a better choice.
A nation of immigrants. The United States is known as a nation of immigrants. When the U.S. became a country in 1776, people from different backgrounds were already living there. There were Native Americans, European colonists, and slaves from other countries. Since then, people from all over the world have settled in the U.S. Waves of immigrants began arriving to the U.S. in the 1800s. Over 7.5 million immigrants arrived between 1820 and 1870. That was more than the total population of the United States in 1810. About 2/3 of these immigrants came from Ireland and Germany. In addition, many immigrants from South America, Asia, and other places were attracted to California after gold was found there in the mid-1800s. They came to look for gold with the hope of getting rich. This event was called the California Gold Rush. Immigration increased in the 1880s. There were several reasons for this. First of all, it was easier to travel to the United States because ships were larger and more powerful. This made trips much shorter and cheaper. Between 1880 and 1920, more than 20 million people immigrated to the U.S. by ship. Another reason people moved to the United States at this time was to flee persecution. For example, Jewish people emigrated from countries in Eastern Europe because their lives were in danger there. Finally, migrant workers from Mexico came to the U.S. to find jobs. At that time, the government welcomed them because farms needed more workers. Not all Americans were happy about this rise in immigration. So the government passed a law restricting the number of immigrants allowed into the country. The Immigration Act of 1924 set quotas for different nationalities. These quotas favored Europeans and excluded people from Asia. This discriminatory policy was replaced by the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. This new law allowed immigrants to bring family members to the U.S. It also gave priority to people with special skills, such as doctors. There were still quotas, but the result of this law was an increase in the number of immigrants from Asia and Africa. Today, immigrants continue to come in large numbers, and immigration is a hot-button issue for politicians. But one thing is clear: people from all over the world will always immigrate to the U.S. in search of a better life. The United States will always be a nation of immigrants.
Building a credit history. In order to get a credit card, you fill out an application. But before the credit card company approves it, they will need to check your credit history, the history of all the bills and loans you've paid off in the United States. Why? They want to find out if you're the kind of person they can trust. When you use a credit card, you are borrowing money. The credit card company wants to know that they will get their money back. Sounds reasonable, right? There's one problem, though. You're an immigrant, and you don't have a credit history in the U.S. What can you do? If you can't get a regular credit card, a good option is a starter credit card, a credit card especially for people with bad credit or no credit history at all. These cards can help you establish a positive credit history. There are 3 kinds of starter credit cards: secured credit cards, unsecured credit cards, and student credit cards. You can get a secured credit card by depositing money in an account. If you deposit $500, for example, you can use the card to spend up to $500. The credit card company is not risking anything. If you don't pay your bills, they will just take the money from your account. As a result, secured credit cards are easy to get. You don't need to deposit anything to get an unsecured credit card, but there are disadvantages to this kind of card. There is sometimes a monthly fee as well as an annual fee. Also, if you spend more money than you can repay, you will usually have to pay high interest rates to the credit card company. Finally, if you're a college student, you may be able to get a student credit card. To get a student credit card, you don't need to deposit any money. There's usually no annual fee. But even if you are a student, your application may be refused if you don't have a credit history. If you get a starter credit card, use it responsibly. Make sure you pay it off on time, in full, every month. Do this for at least a year. Prove that you pay off your debts. Your goal is to build an excellent credit history. If you do that, it will be easy to get any kind of credit card you want.